everyone. My name is Michelle Rothenstein. I'm a cardiovascular dietitian, and I have high LP little a, lipoprotein little a, meaning that I have a higher genetic risk than other individuals when it comes to cardiovascular disease. I recently shared this on my social media, and people were asking Michelle so many questions. They were like, Michelle, what do you do in terms of a mental load and all this fear that you now have given you have known so much, so much about what LP little a means in terms of risk. People have asked me, what am I doing to help reduce the risk or to assess kind of what's the next steps with this diagnosis? So I wrote a blog post. Make sure you check that out on my website, entirelynourished.com. But I want to give you a little bit of just in my story from face-to-face values. So listen, I mean, when I found out I had high LP little a, I felt all of the feelings that many of my clients who have LP little a come to me with. It's like, oh no, is this a death sentence? What is this? Does this mean for my future? There's a lot of health anxiety things that are coming in your mind. But I'm going to say something that's really important. I have seen the full research of how LP little a increases your risk of heart failure, aortic stenosis. It increases your risk of atherosclerosis and heart attacks and strokes. And that's really scary. But there are studies that show that if we control all of our cardiometabolic metrics, and this goes into all aspects, right? It goes into waist circumference, inflammation. It goes into ApoB, cholesterol lowering. It goes into your insulin resistance and your blood sugar. It goes into making sure that we are preventing fatty liver disease and metabolic dysfunction. If we really optimize all cardiometabolic risk factors, we reduce our risk substantially. And we've been seeing this in the research. And so there is a really great researcher in LP little a and out in Quebec. And he said, listen, if we don't take our lifestyle more seriously and optimize our cardiometabolic risk factors, these new medications with LP little a, they may not even work the way we want it to work because lifestyle we know has a really prominent aspect in lowering and reducing cardiovascular risk in individuals with and without high LP little a. So we need to take our lifestyle really seriously. So when I found out I had a high LP little a, I was anxious. I felt all the feelings. And then I took a step back and I said, Michelle, knowledge is power. You say this to all of your clients. You're at an increased risk. That is good information. Yeah, we wish we weren't at increased risk. I totally feel that. But this tells me I have to be more proactive. So when I got my LP little a, I also had a full panel done, and I didn't really change my diet at all or study for a test for my blood test. I wanted to see if what I was doing and what I tell my clients was doing, and if it was working in my body too. And my targets were on point. I practice what I preach because I feel better. And it also, I want to make sure my cardiovascular risk markers are great whether I had a high LP little a or not. But after I did that, I decided to go further testing to make sure that to make sure I don't have an aortic aneurysm that's brewing. I wanted to make sure that I don't have plaque in my arteries. I wanted to do a really extensive test to see, well, where am I, right? I didn't find out I had high LP little a when I was a kid. I actually found out many years after I became a cardiovascular dietitian. And so all of the thoughts were in my head of, oh my God, I have all these issues, but my blood pressure is 90 over 60. And it's been that way because of my cardiovascular fitness and my diet and what I'm eating to help with keep my arteries in more of a better vascular state. I've been looking at all of my testing and my arteries look really happy and healthy. And all of my levels look great. Now that is reassuring, but that doesn't mean that I can just leave it there. What I have to do and what I plan on continuing doing and that I am doing is I check my blood work a little bit more frequently than the average person. I check all of my risk factors from inflammation to insulin resistance to my blood pressure, my cholesterol, my ApoB, and a lot of that requires a little bit further asking of my doctor. I give them a list, and a lot of times they're like, come, can you check if these are the actual ones? They're not familiar with it because this is a very niche field. And I study this for a living because A, I have it, but B, a lot of my clients have it too. And we can live a long and healthy life if we really take proactive action. So as much as this is a fearful diagnosis, it is not a death sentence. We see in the research that if we plummet down ApoB, if we really address waist circumference, inflammation, if we target all of these values to stricter parameters, we can reduce our risk substantially. So I want you to take this diagnosis as an empowerment versus a fear-based diagnosis, because that's going to make it worse. If you say I can't do anything about it and all of your risk factors are going up, then LP little a will accelerate heart disease and you're letting LPA kind of win the battle. If you say no, I know I'm at increased risk and I'm going to take more proactive action and I'm going to reduce these values to target and I'm going to keep them at target long term, that's what we want. So make sure that that's how you look at this, and make sure that you're adding science-based nutrition that helps all cardiometabolic health. It's not just one thing. Cholesterol matters, but so does insulin resistance, so does inflammation. Make sure you're looking at everything and you're being tested appropriately so that you can take an empowered approach, you can see your values optimized, and that will give you reassurance and empowerment with this diagnosis. I hope that's helpful. Make sure you read the blog. Make sure you follow my email list for more heart disease prevention tips. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.